Hello, and welcome back to another episode of The Spirit of Creating. And in today's episode, I wanted to talk about the idea, a kind of misunderstanding that we have, which is we can start to create our art and we can also be stopped in our tracks from creating at all because we might have a running dialogue internally that is saying our art isn't good enough, we're not quite ready to create yet, we're definitely not ready to share this with the world yet. And it's a negative narration that's going on internally. And that's stopping us from either making art in the first place or sharing what we've created. And what I wanted to discuss in this episode was how that isn't unique to you. And I think as creatives, we can then decide that we're having these thoughts because they are relevant to us and specifically only us, and other people aren't experiencing them, only we are. And they're not special to you and they're not unique to you. They're quite the opposite. They are generalized, they're common, they're themes of thought that run through many a human being, many a creative. They're not unique to you at all. We could have a room full of 1,000 creatives, and I am pretty positive every single one would raise their hand about having encountered such thoughts. So this isn't what makes you unique, but the danger is we can start considering it is what makes us unique in terms of our negative thinking, and then decide not to create art in the first place and not to share it. And what I want to tell you is what is unique is the way that you create art, and only you can make that art. No one else can. And the reason this is true is because only you see the world, hear the world, and experience it in the way that you do. None of us can share your experience of the world. We can only share our own. And we only see the world through a filter of our own experiences throughout a whole lifetime of living. And it's in that seeing and in that experiencing that we imbue that. And that's our essence. And it comes into everything we do. It's in the words we speak. It's how we interact. It's how we create. And our creations have that essence of us in them, filtering through them. And then the world gets to see art that only you could have created because only you've had those experiences. And only you have a unique way of viewing those experiences, which you are then conveying through your artistic voice, whether it's through poetry or art on canvas or dance, whatever that is, it's bespoke to what you can create, and only you can. And so when we're working on our own in our studios or in a space, and we are having this negative narration in our head of we're not good enough and our art isn't good enough and we're not quite ready, that isn't unique to us. So we don't need to be sidetracked into thinking this is only happening to me. And the only reason it's happening to me is because my work's not good enough or because I'm not quite ready. It's not. It's happening to all of us all of the time. But what is unique is the art that you can create and only you can create. And the only reason I'm passionate about this is because we as the world don't get to see your creations if you don't make them and if you don't share them. And if it's literally the only thing standing in your way is a belief that you're having thoughts that are special to you and no one else is having them, then let's get that out of the way and say they're not special, they're not unique, they're general. And then let's get to making the art that only you can make and that we then get to see. And like your artistic calling is a gift. And the gift back to the world is that we get to see what you create and we get to see how you view the world. And we won't have that unless you make your art and share it. And that's what's unique about you. It's the way you see the world and then the way you create from what you see. And then we get to see how you view the world, and we get to see a myriad of experiences and perspectives. And how dull and boring would the world be if all we saw was one form of generic art after the other, everyone mimicking each other's style? and no one creating from their own experience. It would be the dullest form of art ever. So we need your uniqueness, and it's a bespoke style of art that only you can make. And when we want to see it and we want it to be in the world, and we can't see it or you can't share it if you don't make it in the first place. So there's no need for us to think that any thoughts we're having are unique to us. They're not. They're common, they're general, they're just everyday. But we do want to see what only you can create and only you can share. And we don't want the world to miss out on seeing that, because that is what makes up the art of the world. And why shouldn't we see what you see and how you experience the world? Because that's a gift to all of us. If you have any questions about this episode, you can message me on illustratingbrain@gmail.com, and I'll be back again next week.